Thank you, Sunil, and welcome everyone. Welcome to this special Stackademic session. It's a bit different from our usual sessions on coding, hopefully, but this is as useful as they are as well. But yeah, I let me share my screen and bear with me as I try to set things up in the correct order so they record as well. Okay, I think the recording is going well. The screen is recording, and if you could confirm that you can see my screen in the chat as well. Uh, oh, okay. Yep, there you go. Thank you, Ibrahim. Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, cool. It's working. Things are in order. Present. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, so today we'll be talking about how to collect pre-sales revenue from your next startup idea. So my name is Sukhpal Saini, and I'm a full stack developer in Toronto. Currently, I work on SaaSpace.dev, which is a tutorial website that just shows you how to build your SaaS business. So SaaS, if you don't know, is subscription as a service, anything that you pay monthly for. So think of like products like Netflix, Spotify. What we're learning today is how do you take your code and turn it into something valuable, like an app. So apps are there's tons of app now, and they all are very specific in what they help a user achieve. And that's kind of when you're coding, that's kind of what you want your code to do. Like, you want it to be valuable. So how do you come up with app ideas? That's the first thing we're going to talk about. But then when we have a tons of different ideas, which is the one that we should work on? Which is the winning idea? That's the next thing we're going to talk about. Then we're going to look at how do we sell first and then build last, rather than the other way around, which is building first and then selling. We'll look at how to collect money from our early adopters. So early adopters are people that are super early in your vision. They understand the problem that you're trying to solve and the solution that you're presenting. They are all on board, and they want to help you take your idea from just being from an idea to an actual product, and they want to help you along the way. So those are your early adopters. Once we talk through the theory of everything, we'll actually take whatever we learn and put it into code. And I'll show you exactly how to implement it with HTML, CSS, and using something called Stripe. So Stripe is like a payment platform that allows you to collect money using your web page. Yeah, we all have app ideas. We're coders or developers. You know, we see things being built and problems showing up every day. So naturally, we want to build an app for that. And so these are the ideas I came up with. Some of the things I faced in the last couple of days. Um, Dating app for busy adults, or a social media website for remote workers, a note-taking app for students. All those things are could be apps on their own, and all of them are quote unquote good ideas. Um, but how do we know which one's a good idea to work on, right? By the way, these are just my ideas that I came up with, but I'm sure you have your own ideas. So feel free to drop them in the chat so you can take a look. Maybe something you're thinking of to build maybe in the future, or you thought of building. Any ideas on a product or an app that you want to build, drop them in the chat. And I just wanted to also mention that if you're ever running out of app ideas or product ideas to work on, indiehackers.com, the prime place to go to get inspiration. But you can check it out on your own time. This is a really great resource. Um, yeah, so these are the app ideas, and then the one we're going to be focusing on for this presentation is the last one, which is the time tracking app for freelancers. That's what we're going to be talking about as an example throughout the presentation. And just to make sure that we all understand what the problem here is, the freelancers typically charge by the hour, and right now you have to sort of do it manually. Just saying, for client A, I've spent 3 hours, so I'm going to be charging them X amount of money. But if there was an app to track my time so that I don't have to do it manually, that would be great. So that would be like a time tracking app for freelancers that you might build. So like we talked about, there's a ton of ideas, right? I mean, we just listed 5 here, but there could easily be 10, 20. But which one is worth building? That's the problem. Building a product is hard work, and even though the development can take maybe a few weeks, days even, the design, the marketing, the sales, customer development, all those things combined to take months and months of work. So the worst case scenario that you can run into is when you spent a year doing the hard work, and you're ready to show it to the world. You post that link on Reddit or in your messenger chat or your Facebook group, and no one wants to use it. That is the absolute worst case scenario. As a personal example, this exact thing has happened to me before, and that's why this presentation is sort of like an overview of like my personal experience on the things I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years. 2 years ago, I started building a product, and I thought I did everything right. And after a year of building, I tried to put it out, and just no one wanted to use it. I could see the usage numbers drop almost to zero. So yeah, so working for a year, 2 years, and then not having anyone use it—that's probably the worst thing that can happen. It's always best to avoid tackling a problem that no one is facing, right? So I can think of a problem, and if it's only me that's facing that problem and I build an app for it, it's kind of only serving my needs. If no one else has that problem, there is really no reason to build an app for it. The way you can figure that out is by doing customer research. Customer research is not useful when you've already built something. So when you build something and then now you're trying to sell it, there is no point of doing customer research. You actually want to do customer research before you build, right? So you want to sell first and then build. So it's very traditional to actually start building and then taking that MVP or small prototype out and then start showing it to people. But what I recommend is, which happens in the new startups that are coming out, is you put up what's called a landing page. It's a simple website that shows a couple of that sort of uh, lists your idea, kind of what the problem you're solving is, what your solution to that is, and what the potential product might look like. So you can show a mock-up on there, a screenshot. And that screenshot doesn't have to be an actual application. You could fake it and I say fake it in quote and quotes, in Photoshop. Just something visual for the person that's coming on the page to look at. Oh, I see what this person is trying to do, right? And a landing page also has what's called a call to action. If a person comes on the page, they understand your idea, they understand your vision. What do you want them to do? What's the call to action? This concept of selling first and then building. It sounds not a big deal, but it can change the trajectory of your success, right? So once you know that, once you validate the idea and you know this idea is something that people want, building on it is super simple. So let's see an example of a landing page. So here's an example of the time tracking app for freelancers, that idea and the landing page for that. You'll notice that there is the idea right here, which is this app lets freelancers accept payments and then send invoices to clients with a single click. A kind of a vague idea of what it's trying to do, and I understand what's the motivation and maybe what the problem is here. You could definitely be more descriptive as well. The visual here is just a simple picture, but you can easily have a screenshot of your application. Then the very important part right at the bottom, which is the call to action. And the call to action in this case is a pre-order. So in the pre-order, if someone likes what you're trying to build, what they have to do is they have to pay $1, and they'll get access to the product, which will be $20 when it releases, let's say in a year. If the pre-order right now, they can get it for a cheaper price. Why would someone pay for something? That's the first question. If someone likes your product or idea so much that they will pay for it, that's ultimate validation. Anyone can come and say, yo, that's a great idea. But someone putting their money into it, that's the ultimate validation. The benefit for you is you get some validation. The benefit for them is they get a deal. If something is going to be worth $20 in a year, and I'm definitely going to need it, why not pay $1 right now and get it? So it's a win-win on both situations, on both sides. So the call to action, the pre-order does a bunch of different things. It shows much higher commitment. If someone comes in and puts money where their mouth is, they say, not only do I like the idea, but here's some money for you to go out and build this without actually you having the product built first. That is the ultimate validation, right? It also lets you raise funding to build out the product. So for example, if in here instead of asking for $1, I asked for $10, and I had 10 people sort of pre-order, which isn't a crazy amount of people. I'll have $100 that I can now spend to build out my product. So doing maybe buying my first domain, paying for the server costs, going to Fiverr and building some branding for my product. Those are things I can start off with without actually having to spend my own money. It's a funding that I've raised. More importantly, the third point, I think it's a bit lost because what happens is when you pitch an idea to your friends and family, they have a motivation to be nice to you. No one wants to be rude. So what will they say? You pitch a product and they will say, "That's a great idea. That I think you should definitely build that." But they might not want to really use it when it comes out, and you want to filter those people out. And so by asking for a pre-order, you'll get them to commit to it, and then now you know that they will definitely be using the product when it comes out because they've pre-ordered it. They've put their money in. And so coming back to our original question of like which one is worth building, all of them are great ideas, but it's the one with the most pre-orders is probably the best bet. It might be that you might have to fine tune your idea and your screenshot maybe and to align with what people are thinking, and maybe articulate your idea a bit better. But as a general rule of thumb, whichever idea technically has the most pre-orders in a dollar amount, that's the best bet because you already have the validation for it, right? You already know people are gonna want it when it comes out. If people want it now without actually it being a product itself and they're paying me money for it, of course they're gonna pay me money when it's an actual app or product. Yeah, so I wanted to. So this is all theory, and I wanted to sort of encompass all the methodology of selling first and building last. Um, but since this is a academic, we're actually going to do build it. We're going to see how we build it in practice. And so we're going to be using HTML and CSS that you guys already have some exposure to, and a Stripe payment links. So Stripe.com, if you don't know, it's Stripe.com. It's a payment processor. So you'll see when you click on a button, you'll see this kind of form pop up where you can enter in your credit card number and pay. And so that's what Stripe.com allows you to do. Originally, this tutorial was supposed to be about an hour, and that's how long it takes to set up like a Stripe payment page button. And then I had to rewrite the tutorial because 2 days ago, Stripe released this new product called Stripe Payment Links. This is very funny. So Stripe Payment Links, what it is, it's creating a payment button in like 2 minutes. That's how easy it is. So they've taken something that took a couple of almost an hour to something that takes a few minutes. So this is brand new. I don't think I've seen any tutorials written on it. So you'll get a brand new look on how to use this this product. Let me open up my VS Code. And so here's my VS Code. Let's put it side by side. And let's run this. There we go. So it's the exact same page that we just saw in the example. Biller, it's for time tracking for freelancers, and there's a pre-order button. So let's see what happens when I click on this button. If I'm a person that lands on this page, click on this button, and I get taken to a payment screen. And so I can see this product, Stackademic. I have to pay $10 for it, and I can go in and add my information. And once I pay, once a user comes in and pays, it will come into my bank account. It's as simple as that. So let's see how we can build this. What I'm going to do is let's take out this button right here. So I'm going to comment this out. So save this. And by the way, so all this code is going to be available as a GitHub repository, so you don't have to worry about copying what I'm doing right now. You'll have access to the full code. But yeah, so let's start. So let's say you have a landing page, just simple CSS and HTML, and I do think I'm using Bootstrap. I am. So I'm using Bootstrap 4.5. But that's the only thing I'm using in here. And there's a couple of custom styles in here to make it look a little bit better. Let's go back to adding a pre-order button. So I'll add a button. I'll say pre-order for say $1. Let me remove this part. Oh. Right, so let me just pre-order my product for $1. Let's say that's my button. Let me take my pre-order out. Okay, sweet. So pre-order for $1. That's my button. I click on it, nothing really happens. So we wanted to go to that Stripe checkout screen. First thing we need to do is go on Stripe. Sign in. It's a very simple process to sign up for the account. Once you're signed in, you'll get this screen. Let's go to, first thing we need to do is create a product. What are we trying to sell? So I'll try to add a product here, and I'll say my app. Say number 1. Right, so that's what I'm trying to sell. I can come in here and add my image, description, my awesome app for time tracking, and come down here, and this is a pricing. So I want someone to pay $10 Canadian, and I want it to be one time. So they pay a one-time fee, and that's it. That's all the setup that we need to set up this product. So we can just save product. Perfect. So we have a product now. Now we need to sell this. So we're talking about Stripe payment links. It's under products and then payment links. I have a few going on, but we'll create a new one right now. Click on new and adding a new product. So I'll try to find my app one. That's the one we want. Let customers, so we don't collect customer addresses. We don't typically need addresses. We can put that in, but it's not important. Yeah, create link. And there we have it. So Stripe goes out and generates a link for us that if I click and if I go to the link, I'll get the checkout screen. Right? Super simple. So And as a person that wants to pay, all I have to do is enter in my credit card information and pay, and then the money will show up in my balances here. So now, I mean, we already know how to put this into the page, right? It's very simple. So let's take the products payment links, take the my app one link, copy to clipboard. On my button, I have to add an on-click event, and so I can do location href and then put in my link. So what happens is whenever I click on that button, it will take me to this address. So let's try it again. Reload the page, click on the button, and boom, there you go. There's payments. So now you can accept payments from your page immediately. Right? Super simple. And this exact process would take, like when I was writing it before, it took um, almost an hour to set up. But Stripe payment makes it super easy. We can actually go ahead and then try to add more, maybe a bit better styling. So class, can do BTN, which is like a bootstrap class, and BTN, say outline, say secondary. There you go. We need a bit of padding. Um, 10 pixels. There we go. But yeah, we can style this button as we please. But the most important part of actually collecting the payment is already hooked up. Right. Cool. Um, yeah. So again, like all this code is going to be available. I'll link it at the end of the presentation, and you'll have that to take a look at after. Right. So yeah, so what we built was with Stripe payment links, we built a payment screen, then we have HTML, CSS with a button in there to trigger the payment link. And here is the source code. So I actually have a write-up of everything coding related I talked about. So on sassbase.dev, here is signing up for a Stripe account, then creating a product, creating a payment link. So feel free to follow through here and copy the code from here as well. And we also have the GitHub. So GitHub has full code that I just showed with the screenshots, images, and the CSS included. That should be useful. Yeah, so just to wrap everything up together right now, what we learned is the importance of validating ideas before you start building on them. Before you start building in the next $1 billion idea, you want to validate it first so you know that it is going to be that valuable. We learned how to sell first and then build last with a landing page and trying out different ideas, different solutions, different screenshots, different call to actions. And at the end, we also learned how to use Stripe to actually collect pre-order money. So having an HTML page and then having the payment links in there from Stripe to collect the pre-order money. Yeah, and so that was my presentation. I hope you guys learned something useful in there. But yeah, any questions at all? I'm happy to. Let me turn over to the chat. Yeah, so easy to start taking payments. Is a Stripe account free? It is free, yes. So the Stripe account is free. How they basically make money is on every payment that's collected, they take a cut of the sale. So for example, and we can find out what that cut is. Stripe fee. Yeah, so yeah, it's 2.7%. So that's how they make money. They don't charge you for the So X mentioned, yeah, you're right, 3.5%. It's around there. It's dependent on what the country is. So for Canada, it's 2.9% plus 30 cents on each transaction, right? And that's how they make money. But yeah, it's the account itself to start off is free. Here's another thing I kind of want to, I glossed over, but I want to show. Stripe has because we deal with money on Stripe, Stripe has a testing, um, a test mode and a production mode. So if you toggle this, right now my account is in test mode, and so any any purchases I do using my payment link, it will just be a test thing. It won't be, it won't actually charge my bank account. It's super easy to figure out what you need and figure out your flow on HTML in the test mode. And then once you're ready to collect real payments, you can turn it on and yeah, go to production mode, and that's when the real money will start coming in. Yeah, Stripe is available in only a select few countries. I'm not too sure what their roadmap looks like, but yeah, it's only available in few countries. Um, yeah, any other questions? Is there a way? So I see that would like to speak is the option. Is there a way to turn that on? I'm not sure how to let someone speak. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Ax, go ahead. Go ahead. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. And he's a marketing genius as well, right? Um, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, the if you don't have some sort of like a social proof automatically right away, I mean, friends and family is the best place to start, right? They already know you, and they trust you, right? And so when you build something and you go to them and you pitch them something, and you basically have to keep going. You go to your family first, then you go to your friends first. If there's no one there that really likes the product, then you go to friends and friends, then you go friends of friends of friends, and you keep on expanding. Because what happens is once you have a friend of a friend of a friend, you have social proof because the initial friend that introduced you to that friend or a friend, it knows you, right? And then so you can say, oh yeah, I'm friends with this person, and then oh, but I'm building this new product. Would you want to take a look? And that's where you can start. And once that's going great, you can then start collecting testimonials, right? If someone's like, yeah, all you need is one person to say, I'll commit. And once you have that, now you can add that onto your website saying, oh, like X number of people have committed to buying this product, and now you have social proof going. Yeah, no worries. Um, Rach, any tips on how to work out a price for an app? That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Typically the way the pricing a price for an app, yeah, okay. So when you do your customer research, let's say we're talking about the freelance, the time tracking app for freelancers. When you go out and talk to a freelancer, they'll tell you that I spend 2 hours every day manually tracking my hours, right? And then he'll tell you my hourly rate is $20. So it seems like every day he's spending $40 of his money by having to manually fill in his time tracking. So if you were to build an app for it, it would make sense that you could price it, let's say $5 a month. So if you do 40 times 30, so in a month he's spending, I don't know if it's a right amount, but let's say he's spending 1,200 tracking his hours for some reason. You can just come in and say, oh, instead of spending 1,200, this app is 200, right? And that seems like a discount, and then so everyone's happy in that case. And now you've just found your top level price. The top level price would be what they're spending money on doing right now already, right? That's your top limit, and then you can go lower than that. And then how low you want to go is kind of dependent on you, what you feel like where the value lies. But that's kind of like a strategy I would use to figure out the price. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and by the way, so I am. If you, I know it might be. So I am on Twitter, and feel free to shoot me questions in there if you have any questions. I'm happy to. I think I have open DMs as well, so feel free to just send up any questions, and I'll be happy to answer. Uh, yeah. So here's my just select my Twitter as well. But yeah. Any other questions? Oh, sure. Ax, I see like Ax would like to speak. I wasn't sure if it's a new one or an old one. But yeah, if okay, yeah. No worries. Yeah, yeah. Jitsi just has like a stacked notification. So, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna throw it back to Sunil if no one has questions. Sure. Yep, I can hear you. Yeah. So if I could say the question back is how do you convince your VCs or try to get funding for the idea? Is that right? Yeah. So initial stage is basically just talking to your so presumably you're trying to solve a problem with a product, right? So once you have a problem, you'll know what kind of people are facing this problem. As an example, the time tracking app problem is only with freelancers, right? So you'll try to go out and find other freelancers. So if one tells you that, oh, this is a problem, maybe it's just a problem for him. But you can validate that by actually going out to other freelancers, maybe people that are on Fiverr or on Upwork, which are famous, kind of popular freelancing websites, and just having a conversation with them and saying, do you find this problem too? And the initial validation would be if they come back and say, "Yes, I do, and I hate it, and I spend an hour of my day just tracking my time." And so, if you hear that from five people, five freelancers that you talk to, you know it's a problem and it's something worth investigating further into. And that's when you will put up a landing page, have a pre-order, and maybe send that landing page over to the same freelancers and see if they are willing to pay for that, right? And your second question is how do you get the funding? So to get funding and VCs, I mean, typically they want to see that your app will be successful or your product will be successful, and I mean the easiest way you can show that is with pre-orders, with actual money in your actual bank account, right? So you build your landing page and you start collecting some pre-orders and you have an MVP. Yeah, Abraham. Yeah, MVP. You build like a small MVP, just maybe highlighting some of the core features, not everything that the app might need eventually, but just the main things. And then you can take the fact that you've collected money and the fact that you have an MVP, both those things together should make that pitch to a VC that much more enticing. So I hope that, yeah, I hope that, no worries. Yeah, it's a tricky one to pitch to VCs. It's very hard because yeah, you're basically convincing not only them but also yourself as well at the same time that this will work, right? And something, and you know, things might work, things might not, but it's your job to convince them and also yourself of that this will work and this is worth putting your time, money, and resources into. Yeah, yeah. If you know you're in like a pitch meeting and you're trying to convince yourself, that's not the, it's not the best approach. But yeah, cool. Um, yeah, I don't know if Sunil, was there anything else we need to maybe discuss at the end? I do his see his connection is poor, so maybe he can't hear us. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, did he? Yeah, yeah, yeah. He did. Yeah, you're right. Oh, oh, can nobody hear me? Oh, I think Sunil, I think you're on mute. That's maybe what the issue is. Yeah, we can't hear you. Okay, cool. There we go. Mm, open close chat. Uh, yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah. I'll leave it up until so what I'll do is in the chat, just in case, I'll put in the links to the GitHub repos just in case. So 1 second. Just so you have something to look at after. So here is the, so I'm pasting in the chat. Here is a link to the write-up, and here is a GitHub repo as well that you can take a look at. And feel free to clone, change, whatever the case might be. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for everyone for joining as well and letting me speak. This is great. I think you guys have a really good thing going on here. Cool. Yeah. See you guys. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. Bye everyone.